since leaving the California governor's office, opening in 10th place with $6.3 million. Jane Metzler, Fox News Radio.
There'll be no opening bell on Wall Street this hour. The Martin Luther King Jr. holiday has closed the financial markets. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News Radio.
Weather is a service of News Talk 107.1 The Point. Contact Josh or Cody at 255-2548 for more information on making weather sponsorships part of your marketing plans.
From the Point Weather Center for this morning, we'll have a clear sky. It'll be mostly sunny through the day, the high near 30. Becoming partly cloudy tonight with a stray flurry, low 14. Rather cloudy tomorrow with a couple of flurries, high 32. Mostly sunny and milder Wednesday, high 48. I'm staff meteorologist Jim Rinaldi, and for more information, visit my1071thepoint.com.
It's about the restoration of our republic. We want to educate, encourage, enable the power. We stand for integrity, honesty, self-reliance, self-defense, and most importantly, no compromise on our foundational principles. This is America's Voice Now.
Find America's Voice Now on Facebook and at americasvoicenow.org. Here's Michael Evans.
Good morning, America. Thank you for taking the time out of your valuable time to join us this morning. You're listening to America's Voice Now. My name is Michael Evans. I'll be your host for this hour, and I appreciate you joining us this morning. I want to talk a little bit in my bullet points this morning about this inauguration issue. Our president has recently been inaugurated, or was officially yesterday and will be for the press today. And I think it's important that Mr. Obama recognize the fact that he is overreaching his boundaries as president. This is a monumental time in our history and a monumental time in his administration. And yet, I see a trend where he has become far more aggressive, where he has become far more liberal in his aggression, and where his pretense has become more blatant. It appears that he feels overreach is his mandate. And I beg to differ with you, Mr. President, but 52% of the vote does not give you a mandate. There are serious questions and serious problems with our nation. Your attempt to legislate from the executive office is outside the purview and the boundaries of our Constitution. It's important that you remember that your focus and your job are to protect and defend our nation against enemies foreign and domestic. And yet you appear to be, along with the remainder of your administration, to be the greatest threat to our national security that we have faced, perhaps in our history. I would encourage you to sit back and have a reconsideration of the values and the purpose that you have sworn. Your goal of slowly but surely stripping Americans of all of the civil liberties and the human rights that have been granted to us by our founders and our Constitution, our Declaration of Independence, and all of the other founding documents far outweighs any good that you think may come from that, because you feel that your opinion and that you know better outweighs the rights and the privileges of American citizenship. I'm not sure why you feel as if you have the right to dictate to Americans how and under what circumstances we should live. But I strongly encourage you to reconsider this last 4-year term that you have. Frankly, I didn't support you. And I've been very, very critical of you, because I have not seen anything that you have done or can do that is in the best interest of America. I have seen you cover and protect your insiders, such as Eric Holder. I have seen you sign and swear on executive orders that are absolutely outside the purview of your authority as president. And worse yet, your 23 last executive orders, which we keep hearing executive action and executive order in some skewed opinion of how these are to be implemented, have not even been displayed to the public. You signed 3 documents, not 23. Where are they? What are they? And what do they mean for America? This concept of operating in secrecy and holding back the truth from America, unless it's some skewed version issued and promulgated by the press and the media who are in your pocket, is not positive. It's not helpful. It's divisive and to the detriment of America. Your ability to create divisiveness has never been exemplified better than what you have accomplished in the last 4 years. Dividing our nation is not in the best interest of our nation. I have never seen a president who worked more ardently to divide our country, to separate us, in spite of all the things that actually could bring us together. Your threats and your cajoling, your abuses of authority and power, your demands that the wealthy support and prop up the helpless and the hapless are beyond comprehension. We all come into this world with a unique set of skills, talents, and gifts. Those who choose, for whatever reason, not to grow those, not to nurture those, that's on them, Mr. President. It is not the obligation of a small minority in America to support those who choose not to help themselves. I look into your eyes and I see a man drunk with power. And I find that frightening. And Mr. President, I'm not alone. Well, that's it for my talking points. If you'd like to call in and comment on those today, I'd be more than happy to take your call. I'd like to hear your opinions, your ideas. You're certainly welcome to call us at the Wits End Classic Barbershop Hair Hotline. You can do so at 257-1111. That's 257-1111. You can also call us toll-free at 866-554-6636. That's 866-554-6636. We're going to take a break in a moment, and when we come back from that, I'd like to give you the numbers of the 3 state legislators in our area, because we're going to be facing a number of gun control issues and initiatives within our state, and it is critical and imperative that each and every one of you support these. And so I'll give you their numbers, and I would like to enlist your support in these upcoming battles. These are going to define whether or not we go down as a state, or whether or not we stand firm, unique, independent of federal regulation, and with our own sovereignty intact. I would like you to support our supporters, because these folks are the guys that keep this radio show on the air. I'd also like to remind you that this is listener-supported radio. Now, we're not NPR. We do actually, though, however, tell you the truth about what's going on in America. We, unlike all the other mainstream media out there, keep you informed about those issues and keep a balance that you will never get on the mainstream side of the fence, because they're completely in the tank for whatever you want to call this overarching conspiracy to destroy America. And so we need your help, and you can support this program and keep it on the air by supporting us. Now, there's a number of ways that you can do that, but not the least of which is you can help to support and at least defray our costs. You can do that by going to our website at americasvoicenow.org. That's americasvoicenow.org. On there, you'll find buttons where you can literally donate. And you can donate funds to us via PayPal with a credit card and or with your existing funds in your PayPal account. And or you can send checks if you don't have access to the internet. You can send them to America's Voice Now, number 10, Court Square, in West Plains, Missouri. 65775. That's America's Voice Now, number 10, Court Square, West Plains, Missouri, 65775. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. I would like you to support the folks from Stone Construction. They are an advertiser with us and a strong representative for our area. They have been in the construction business for well over 40 years and handle local projects like the Faith Assembly South Addition and 11 Point Equine Center. They do everything from pole barns and shops, decks and concrete work, structural flat work, decorative repair of old masonry, welded steel, pipe corrals, and all kinds of other work. Whether it's for home or farm, they're the right place for you to go. You can get a hold of Bill Stone at 293-0116. That's 293-0116. I'd also like for you to make sure that you spend some time with our friend Mary over at Chantilly's Artisan Bakery, number 2 Evans Arcade. That's number 2 Evans Arcade. And you can reach her by phone at 255-2253. We'll be back in just a moment.
Here we go with round 2 of Hope and Change. Looking forward looks bumpy and rocky. Nobody's stimulated by high unemployment and tax increases. Ozark Mountain Self-Reliance can help you be ready to face the challenges of the next 4 years. We have long-term food storage, ammunition, informational books and DVDs, water purifiers, and a whole lot more. Come see us at 3225 Highway 62 East, Suite number 3, just a half mile past Walmart in Mountain Home, or call us at 492-4030. That's Ozark Mountain Self-Reliance.
All right, we are in return from our capitalist break. Go ahead, caller. Welcome to the show. Glad you took the time to speak with us this morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I've been limited to 3 calls to this station by the man company. Said 3 calls would do. So, okay, he's had enough. He only wants 3 calls. I'm giving you 3 calls or less a day.
Okay.
Okay, here's my problem with these absolute Second Amendment right people. You live in a society which you have benefited from. You are espousing a political ideal that is harmful to the society at large. This absolute Second Amendment rights junk that you keep pushing is detrimental to my society because it allows for cops to get shot at with automatic weaponry.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, absolute Second Amendment rights that your right to
automatic weaponry
shall not be infringed.
Automatic weaponry hasn't been allowed in this country since 1986, and the decision in 1924, or even before that. These are semi-automatic. So clarify the words that you use and use proper words. We're talking semi-automatic, not automatic.
Okay. May I speak now?
Of course. I just want to make sure that I'm keeping you honest, because I'm not going to allow you to make a misrepresentation. There's a difference between automatic and semi-automatic.
I'm glad you brought that up. I am so glad you brought that up, Mr. Con Man. Why doesn't Canada allow Fox News Radio on their airwaves?
Have no idea.
Well, let me tell you why. Because they don't consider you guys a news organization.
Wait a minute. You guys? I have nothing to do with Fox News
Corporation. You're on their station. You are
this is an independent.
For what the corporation does.
All right, let's clarify some things first and foremost. This is an independent station, number one,
Fox
and number
News
2.
Radio is the logo.
Okay, hang on a second. You want to have a dialogue, or do you just want to rant?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
All right, so let's clarify this. This is an independent station, and I'm going to go one step further and tell you that this is an independent show. This show is not paid for by this station. They don't pay me any money to do it. They don't have any involvement in what I say. They don't have any involvement they don't write me a check. I've never received a check from this station. So, for you to make a statement that I work for Fox News, I do this as a voluntary effort. I don't get paid by anybody. In fact, the only funds that ever come in to remunerate me and the cost that I spend to run and operate this program and the website that goes along with it and all the research and all the time I spend is a few donations that come in from individuals. And I have to tell you, they're pretty lean.
Donations total to?
Let me tell you something. I've seen less than about $300 or $400 in donations in the last year. So listen, tough guy, let me clarify for you the reality of this. I do this completely on my own, at my own cost and expense, which I promise you 10 times exceeds what I have ever received in donations. This station doesn't pay me. Fox News doesn't pay me. Fox News doesn't even know I'm alive. And to take things further, for you to make an assertion that Fox News has any control over this when it's an affiliate network, that would mean that you're saying that Alan Combs has some input into what goes on Fox News or in this station. That's an absurdity. That's ridiculous.
Okay, may I speak now?
Clearly, no. You can't. No, you can't. You can hear me until I'm finished. What you're suggesting is that there is some vast right-wing conspiracy to educate America to the realities of what is going on in the left world side. And I have to tell you, there is a right-wing conspiracy to that effect. And I'll tell you why there is. Because the left side of the fence, which is MSLSD, NBC, ABC, CBS, and Communist News Network, and all the others out there, the New York Times, and all these liberal groups out there who are sitting there as absolute sycophants for this president, with all due respect to you, we are only simply trying to do one thing: balance the scales. Because as far as I'm concerned, all of those news media outlets, including Fox News, are nothing more than propagandist pumpers. And you've heard me say it. If you listen to the show on a routine basis, you've heard me say that Fox News is not vastly different from the rest of them. I don't believe in Democrats. I don't believe in Republicans. I don't believe in the mainstream media. The simple truth is, if America wants to know what the truth is, they're not going to find that from any of these mainstream shows. Any of them. Because everybody is in the tank for the absolute destruction of America. Everybody but the Americans who have to go down in flames to accomplish that goal, including you.
May I speak now?
Now you've got about 30 seconds.
Thank you. You spent 2 minutes. I'll spend the
That's my show. Anytime you want to have one, you can find a radio station that'll let you put one on. Spend tens of thousands of dollars to do it, and then go ahead and have all the time you want.
Okay, now that I can speak. Fox News is banned from Canada because it has misrepresented the truth to such a great degree.
I don't care.
Okay, that's fine.
Because I'm not Fox News. Nor do I support them, nor do they support me, nor do I represent them, nor do they represent me.
If I don't get to speak for my last 30 seconds, why do you say I have 30 seconds?
Well, you're wasting it with silence now, so speed it up.
I didn't know I could speak. I thought you hung up on me. Okay, now, Canada banned Fox News because they're...
Okay, you already said that.
Okay, I was trying to get to the point of why this is important. Canada, in case you don't know, is a democracy, and set up very similar to
Actually,
ours.
it's a socialist democracy. We're a democratic republic, and there's a vast difference. But go ahead.
They're a democracy. Okay, try to cloud the issue if you want. They're a democracy.
Mob rule. Go ahead.
You know what? I'm done with you for today. Have a good day.
Right. So, anybody else who would like to comment and clarify and clear the smoke out of the room? Hold on a minute. Let me blow the smoke out of the room here. Hold on. Okay, I think I've got it blown out. Go ahead, caller. Welcome to the show.
Hey, let me talk to Chuck a minute.
He's gone.
Chuck, from the last show that you were on this morning, you have the right to say what you want, but other people have the right to slap you down or do whatever they want to. Goodbye.
Okay. I don't know how my show got to be a diatribe against Chuck, but whatever. Go ahead, caller. Welcome to the show.
Mike, you're a better man than I. But Listen, the caller, he obfuscates. He also, it was strange to me when he called you Mr. Con Man, and then when you said tough guy, he said, "Oh, tough guy," like he was offended. That's the thing that so many of them do. They resort to crass verbiage and name calling.
No, that's the standard liberal mentality.
I know that it is, and it is disgusting. And he sounds like he may not have the best judgment, but he does sound like he has a degree of intelligence, and he ought to use it. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, folks, listen. You got to recognize something that individuals have including that last caller. He has the right to have his opinion. And I would go so far as to say that he has a right to say whatever he wants. I mean, with limitations, of course. We all hear the phrase, well, you can't yell fire in a theater, right? I get it. But I don't think he's saying anything that is dangerous. I think he's just voicing his opinion vociferously. He believes that he is in the right, regardless of whether or not you agree or disagree with that. And I would go so far as to say that unlike that side of the ideological fence, I would actually die for his ability to have that First Amendment right to express his opinion. I even let him express it on my show, and in the face of name calling and sarcasm and sneering and all of that kind of thing, because I think it's important that you have an opportunity as listeners to understand exactly what and how this progressive group of individuals operates and works. You see, they don't have a logical argument that can be used, and so the minute that they are proven wrong by either logic or facts, then they immediately descend into name calling and or emotional arguments. And this is a routine that you can watch. I have to tell you, I challenge each and every one of you to watch the news. And I want you to watch, in fact, I'm going to challenge you to turn on a progressive channel. Catch the show on MSLSD, or watch Communist News Network, or watch NBC or ABC or CBS or one of those groups. I'm going to suggest something to you, and I want you to watch it carefully. I don't want you to necessarily pay much attention to the message, because the story that they're going to tell you is not what's important. What is important is I want you to utilize and recognize the tactics that they utilize. I want you to recognize, when you see it, how they migrate from a discussion on facts. As soon as the facts are brought against them, then they immediately descend into either name calling or they descend into an emotional argument. And I want you to watch that, because it's telling, number one. Number two, it's informative for you to understand when that's happening, so that when you're dealing with people in your own life, at your own church, at your school, at your place of business, at the people that you communicate with on a routine basis, your neighbor perhaps, remember that we're here to educate, inform, motivate, and activate, right? So watch and learn what they do, so that you have a leg up and the ability to affect that when they try to pull that nonsense in a discussion you're having with them. It's very, very important that you understand the tactic so that you know how to effectively combat it. Go ahead, caller.
Mike, I just had to call right back. I guess that caller is not for freedom of the press.
I don't know.
I'm
not going to put words in his mouth.
No, but he supports Canada's restriction of Fox News.
Well, you can draw that conclusion, but I don't want to put those words in his mouth.
Well, I don't really want to put them in his word, but that's where you would have to go with it. He thinks that's fine. If you have never said that MSNBC should not be allowed.
No, listen, I say it again. Let me tell you something, folks. The concept of supporting our Constitution goes both ways, and I would literally put my life on the line for everyone to have their right of free speech. Now, that means even those who don't agree with my ideology, or with my political stance, or with my beliefs, or my opinions. And the simple truth is that is when you know that you have some level of integrity in your existence. You see, the difference here is whether or not you are actually doing things across the board evenly, right? In other words, you can't be biased and still be objective. And our goal here, and your goal there, should always be objectivity. If you're not objective, then you're not actually doing what you're supposed to be doing, or you're not practicing what you preach. And that's critically important to whether or not, you're a blowhard or you're telling the truth all the time. Our goal is to tell the truth, even when that's not necessarily liked. You got about 10 seconds, caller.
Well, the other thing, the only value that I find in Fox News is because not that I'm a supporter of them, because I feel much like you do on that, but we get no investigation from the mainstream press of this particular administration. At least we do get some, whether it be erroneous or not. We're
getting cut off by a hard break. Hey, thanks. I'll be right with you, folks.
This is a Fox News Alert. I'm Paul Stevens. President Obama, Vice President Joe Biden, and their families now at St. John's Church in Washington for a prayer service. That part of the early ceremonies leading up to the president's ceremonial oath of office and his second inaugural address at noon Eastern Time. An address that aides say will present two major themes.
That he wants to try to bring Washington together on some of these big divisive issues. He talked about that 4 years ago. It hasn't exactly worked out, but he also wants to talk about the public, a call to action, saying you can't just be involved during the election. You've got to also be involved in these big issues after the election.
Fox's Ed Henry in Washington. Aides saying the president will not lay out any specific policies today. He'll instead leave that for a State of the Union address next month. At least 500,000 spectators projected to attend today's public events under frigid sunny skies. And this is a Fox News Alert.
Weather sponsorships are now available on News Talk 107.1 The Point. Get more information, email info@diamondmediaradio.com for complete details.
From the Point Weather Center for this morning, we'll have a clear sky. It'll be mostly sunny through the day, the high near 30. Becoming partly cloudy tonight with a stray flurry, low 14. Rather cloudy tomorrow with a couple of flurries, high 32. Mostly sunny and milder Wednesday, high 48. I'm staff meteorologist Jim Rinaldi, and for more information, visit my1071thepoint.com.
Hey, there's my son.
Hey, Dad.
What's wrong with your voice?
There is nothing wrong with my voice.
Well, it's just sort of.
Hello, Dad.
Susan? Guys, I think it's about time to get in the car and maybe see some green things.
What are these green things you speak of?
This weekend, unplug. Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. To find the forest nearest you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
We're back. Folks, you have to recognize something. And this runs across all of these topics, whether you're talking about guns or whether you're talking about voter rights or whether you're talking about First Amendment rights or whatever. Integrity is who you are when no one's looking. Honor is something you either have or you don't. Second Amendment is something we either respect or we don't. You can't have it both ways. The analogy I would use for you on these issues is that you can't have censorship and free speech in the same room. These two items are diametrically opposed. It's like matter and antimatter. You can't have them occupy the same space because they're diametrically opposed in terms of what they are. You can't have the Second Amendment and an ATF and an assault weapons ban in the same occupying the same space. It doesn't work. The ATF is diametrically opposed to your gun rights, and therefore it cannot exist in a world where you have a Second Amendment that is not infringed. Go ahead, caller. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. How are you doing, Mike?
I'm doing just fine.
Do you appreciate being around people who are like-minded?
Do I?
Yes.
Sure.
I think we all do, don't we?
Sure, of course.
Chuck seems awfully frustrated, and I would just give him a suggestion. Pack up his camels and go to Britain. You will have a ball. Everyone there will be like-minded.
Yeah, but he doesn't have to go that far. He can find that right here, and he can find that right here in the good old USA. All he's got to do is go hang out in Washington, listen, we don't have to go as far as Britain to find a group of people who are willing to eviscerate your rights in favor of their quest for personal power and ego. We can find that in Washington. We can find that in California. We can find that in New York. You can find that in Chicago. You can find that in Detroit. You can find that in St. Louis. You can find that in Kansas City. You don't have to look across the pond.
You're exactly right. And our founding fathers had to take care of this situation in 1776, and I'm afraid that's what it's coming to again, brother.
Well, you got to look at it from this perspective, right? The original assault rifle, if you want to look at it from that standpoint, was banned from import in 1774. That was the musket.
Exactly.
Right? Now, in 1775, a year later, after it had been banned from importation into the colonies, the British attempted to confiscate them. And what happened was, history, the revolution was kicked off because the British literally came in. For those of you who don't know it, Paul Revere, the famous ride of Paul Revere where he was warning the British are coming, that wasn't just to clarify that the British were on their way to, subjugate you in another way. He was calling to America and saying the British are coming, and they're coming for our firearms. The goal of the folks that were on their way and coming off the ships from Britain was to confiscate firearms from the citizens in the colonies. And it was demanded that they lay down their arms. They refused. One foolish British soldier fired a shot, and that was the shot heard round the world. So, ladies and gentlemen, I caution you, he who speaks first, he who shoots first loses. Okay? That's a basic tenet of this thing. Because if the government ever utilizes terrorist tactics against the United States of America in an attempt to try to confiscate firearms, then, that will be the shot heard round the world part 2.
Amen.
So, hey, listen, thanks for the call. I appreciate you.
Bye.
Right, have a great day. Go ahead, caller. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Mike.
Good morning.
I was glad to hear there's only 3 drone attacks a day allowed on the station now.
Drone attacks? That's a different way of putting it. Go ahead. He doesn't. To be honest with you, that individual used to listen to the show and call in pretty much on a routine basis when it was a Saturday show, and I never banned him from the show, but I'm not going to put up with a lot of misstatements and blatant misrepresentations. That I will not tolerate. And so at points I have been rather abrupt and hung up the phone on him because I won't, we can't get into a shouting match, right? The truth is, it is my show, and I have the lion's share of time. That's the simple reality of it, whether he likes it or not. And, he's got a right to say his opinion, but he's got to be truthful about it.
I don't blame you at all. That's one reason why one of the many reasons I'm such a fan of Mark Levin and always have been. He don't put up with him either. So
I even think Mark's too abrupt sometimes. I listen to Levin, and I like him, but I also believe that there are times he's a little too abrupt. And so, I try to be a little bit more tolerant, and, I want there to be a teaching moment, right? This was a teaching moment for you listeners out there. The teaching moment is this. Watch and listen to how the argument is handled, because that gives you the ability to now confront it and beat these folk on their own, utilizing their own tactics. Here's the example. If the enemy comes at you and they always come at you from the right, then you know how to defend against that. If they always come at you from the left, then you know how to defend against that. But you have to recognize, and you have to be through enough battles to have seen how the tactics operate. Right? It's like playing football. If they use the same play over and over and over again, eventually you learn how to defend against that play. It's the same thing here. What you see is they make an assertion or usually a misstatement or a mistruth or a misrepresentation or a flat out lie. And then when you try to defend or raise the issue, they try to shout you down. If that doesn't work, then they immediately descend into sarcasm or some sort of an emotional argument that takes it out of the realm of facts and into the realm of emotion. And if that doesn't work, then they absolutely descend into name-calling. I'll give you the example. Piers Morgan calling Larry Pratt, "You are an idiot, an absolute idiot." That kind of thing. I mean, that was unnecessary, and it didn't serve the purpose of anybody. Everybody was there to hear what Larry Pratt had to say. And by cutting him off and calling him names, that just, defeated his own argument.
Well, with history not being taught that well in most colleges, much less K through 12, and has been for several generations. People like Mark, they fall into this utopia idea with really not a lot of knowledge of history, world history. There was a lot of Bolsheviks that thought they were on the right side, throwing out the Tsar of Russia. And then those people, like drones, followed people like Lenin and Stalin and their like. And then when they woke up one day and found out, hey, there is no utopia, this isn't fair.
Sure.
They were the first ones shot or threw in the gulags.
You gotcha.
The very people that fought side by side with them.
Right. Okay, well, let's go ahead. I'm sorry. Finish your point.
No, that's it. I just wanted to give you a call, and I'm glad the streaming audio is working great today.
Thank you, and I appreciate your support for our show. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Have a great day. Go ahead, caller. Welcome to the show.
Third and final call of the day, gentlemen. You're almost through it, I promise. Okay, here we go. Just to establish that I'm not a liar, what have I lied about?
I didn't say you were a liar. I said
I wanted to be clear about that. Now, I would like to change subject real quick. Quick pivot. Deal with it. Fox News is banned in Canada. That's a fact. Please, people, type it into your search engine and see.
All right, you said that. What is the point? I don't get it.
Because I want to make sure you are not accusing me of lying about the fact that Canada has banned Fox News Radio.
I didn't say that.
Misrepresenting the truth.
I didn't say that. I don't know. You don't. Well, hold on a minute. I didn't say that you were a liar about that topic at all. I said the fact that you and I didn't actually accuse you specifically during that call of lying at all. Again, you're allowing your emotion.
About you, period.
You're allowing.
What have I lied to you about, period?
You are allowing your emotion to control the argument. The simple truth.
You also implied that I was wrong in calling you a con man. Is that not a matter of a fact? Are you not a con?
No.
Are you not a man? Is that not a fact?
Oh, come on. That is...
You are a con man, and it's a fact. Thank you.
I'm a con man, and it's a fact. Okay, whatever. Go ahead, caller. Welcome to the show. You've only got a minute or two. Go ahead, caller.
Yes, I was calling because I wanted to kind of expound upon your point about sharpening our logical skills.
Okay.
I was just listening to your previous caller, and they're using red herring fallacies just over and over. Misdirection, ad hominem.
That's the standard playbook, man.
And I mean, just grab your computer, Google up red herring fallacies, false dichotomy, ad hominem, and you'll be stronger and able to win every argument.
I agree, absolutely. Thank you very much for that for that wise comment. Thanks.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Go ahead, caller. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Mike. Am I on?
Yeah, you're on.
That's a shame. That fellow's sort of rattling your chain and ruining your show. But I thought I'd change the subject. What do you think about all this money that's spending on these inaugurations and these balls and stuff? It's unbelievable when they give herself a raise up at Congress, all right, and they say that the COLA, they're not even going to raise the COLA and stuff on old people that's starving to death because Obamacare taking more out of their Social Security than, not leaving them nothing even to live on. And I'm not talking about disability. I'm talking about somebody worked hard all their life and put the money in there and saved the money in there, and then they act like that's a bad thing when you go to take out the savings you saved all your life. That kind of stuff irks me. But then I see these daggone balls. I was listening this morning. They're going to have, like 15 different balls. And the president, he just sticks his head in one and it goes down next to him.
Yeah, I know. You know what?
Billions of dollars. And why do they have to re-inaugurate him? He already is the president.
Well, legally, okay, stop. Legally, he has to be re-inaugurated, and I don't have a problem with that. I do have a problem. I do have a problem with the constant flow of money that goes into these types of bashes, just because America is, in a crisis financially. So I agree with you.
These guys just party from daylight to dark and never get to do nothing.
Hey, listen, it's no different than the cartels in Mexico and Medellin. It's just a different product they're selling. Hey, thanks for the call. I appreciate it.
You bet.
Go ahead, caller. Welcome to the show. Go ahead, caller. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Michael. I just wanted to correct your caller there, Chuck. He did make a statement that most officers are shot by automatic weapons, and you didn't call him a liar. You just told him that he was incorrect about that it wasn't automatic weapons, it was semi-automatic, and then you even gave him the dates when the automatic weapons were restricted in the United States.
Right.
So
you're absolutely correct, and I appreciate I was focusing on the automatic versus semi-automatic issue, when the reality is that most officers aren't shot by automatic or semi-automatic weapons. Exactly. I guess that was your point.
Yes, sir.
and you're absolutely correct.
He was just babbling, and like you said, he was taking it off track and trying to go on to something else. And
well, again, that's the idea. Throw gasoline on the fire, and then attempt to justify that. And while everybody's trying to put the fire out, they're missing the fact that he's running to the next building and throwing gasoline and fire on that one. And I get it. I mean, and by the way, for the record, since I know you're listening, caller, you may be limited to 3 calls a day on their show, but you're not. I haven't given you a limit or anything else, and my show is my show, and so whatever you think those limits may have been by the station doesn't pay me. This is my show, so therefore I'm going to call the limit on how many calls I take from you, not them. Okay? So, and I appreciate your call. Thanks.
Thanks, Michael. Bye-bye.
All right, have a great day. Okay, I guess I lost that last call. Folks, we're going to take a quick break, and then I'll take calls on the last of yours. But I want to give out the names and phone numbers for our state legislators and our state reps in reference to this gun legislation that's being proposed right now. There is a proposal in the House and in the Senate to essentially install the Firearms Freedom Act and add it to some existing legislation that we have. And I'm going to give you the names and the phone numbers to call to make sure that you're supporting that properly, because that is critical to whether or not our Second Amendment rights are supported and protected by our state, irrespective of what the federal government does. Callers who are on hold, you just have to wait through this break for a moment. When we come back, we'll talk further about that. You can find us on the web at americasvoicenow.org. Please find us on Facebook, where we post up a ton of stuff every day, and that is facebook.com/America's Voice Now. You can also find us on YouTube, where we put all of our interviews and shows up there, and you can find that at youtube.com/America's Voice Now. We'll be right back.
I know what you're thinking, Bunk. You're thinking, did he fire 6 shots or only 5?
Dirty Harry gets all his ammo from the battery station. John Rambo, you guessed it. He gets his ammo from the battery station, too. So if you need ammo, go to the place where the guys who know about ammunition go, the battery station. They have one of the largest supplies of ammunition in the area. So make sure you're stocked up and don't get low on shells. Go to the battery station at 303 Washington Avenue in West Plains.
All right, we're back. Just before we've got another caller on here, and before we run out of time this morning, I definitely want to talk about and give you this information, guys. I want you to get a pen and paper right now, and whoever's listening, while we're going through this call, I expect you to get yourself a pen and a piece of paper, and I'm going to insist that you write this phone number down and these email addresses down, because these are critically important to our Restore Missouri project. Go ahead, caller. Welcome to the show.
Hi, I'm going to try and keep this brief, Mike. I like your show. You have a great show.
Thank you.
I think generally you find some good topics, and you approach them logically, and everybody discusses them. I think that's great. And I am going to say, and I'm not going to name names. You've had a caller today that's been rather negative. I remember somebody telling me once about psychic vampires, emotional psychic vampires that end up turning a conversation into a negative fight. And I think you've
I
handled
got you.
it very well.
They suck the life out of the conversation and turn it negative. I get it. Good analogy, actually.
Yeah, and you're nobody's any longer on a topic that will help the United States. All of a sudden, you're now on all this topic about this thing or person.
Right.
And
well, and again, that's a very clear tactic of the left, is to keep the smoke screen so full and to keep there's so much smoke in the room that you cannot see the other issues that are of impending importance. Right.
And I think you're handling it fine, because you cannot have a show with that person on, with that type of conversation happening.
Sure.
All right, thanks a lot.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate the call.
Great show.
Thank you so much. Okay, folks, here's the deal. I'm going to give you 3 names and 3 phone numbers, and I'm going to give you 3 email addresses. And I expect that you're writing this down. I'm not going to take any more calls until we get this through. All right, the first is Mike Cunningham. Now, Mike Cunningham is the state senator for the 33rd District. Mike has been on our show before. I know the man. I've actually supported him in terms of my own personal vote. And Mike is the senator who is going to be making decisions for us in this upcoming legislative session about things like the anti-gun legislation that is being promulgated by the federal government and the pro-gun, pro-sovereignty legislation that is currently in the House and Senate right now in the state of Missouri. Mike can be reached at, and I hope you've got your pens and papers ready, 573-751-1882. That's 573-751-1882. Mike's email address is Mike, and for the record, it's always first name with a period and the last name, followed by the @senate.mo.gov or at house.mo.gov. Okay, so anytime you want to reach a representative, regardless of who they are in the state of Missouri, all you've got to know is their first and their last name. Now, his is Mike.Cunningham, and that's spelled Cunningham. 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 At senate.mo for mo.gov. Okay? That's his actual email address at the Senate. So it's 573-751-1882, Mike.Cunningham at senate.mo.gov. The next gentleman is a representative for the 142nd state, 142nd district, and he's the state rep. He recently was he just won the election in November, and he was just sworn in the other day. And this is Robert Ross. Now, I've had a couple of conversations with Robert over the past few weeks, and I have to tell you, I have a strong amount of faith in this gentleman, in the sense that I believe that he is going to do the right thing as a representative up in the state house. His phone number is 573-751-1490. That's 573-751-1490. You can reach him via email at robert.ross, R-O-S-S, robert.ross. And then it's at house, house.mo.gov. Now, the last guy is Sean Rhodes, and he is the guy who just won the seat here for the state representative in the 154th District. And you've heard Sean on this show, you've heard Robert Ross on this show, you've heard Mike Cunningham on this show. Now is our part, now it's our time to take part and be active in the process, because these are the individuals who won the election. These are conservative candidates, all 3 of them, and they won. So now it's time to put the pressure on them to vote the way we want them to vote. And you're going to do it politely, and you're going to do it with a well-reasoned, well-thought-out, articulated argument. And when you call, you're going to have your bullet points written down, 1, 2, 3, and 4, or 1, 2, and 3, or 1 through 20. I don't care how many it is, but you're going to do it clearly and wisely and smart. So he can be reached, and this is Sean Rhodes. That's S-H-A-W-N, Sean, S-H-A-W-N. Last name is Rhodes. That's R like Romeo, H like Hotel, O like Oscar, A like Alpha, D Delta, S Sierra. Sean Rhodes. It's like roads you drive on, but with an H immediately after the R. He is available at 573 573-751-1455. That's 573-751-1455. He can be reached via email at Shawn, SHAWN, Rhodes, RHOADS, at house.mo.gov. All right? Now, why am I giving this information out? Well, because I'll say it again, we educate, we inform, we motivate, and we activate. This is the active part, okay? That means you've got to take a role and play an active role. That means you've got to pick up the phone, you've got to sit down at a keyboard, you have to take some action. That's the goal, folks, because otherwise I'm spinning my wheels and you're wasting your time listening. That's the simple reality of it. Now, there is a new bill that has been submitted into the House, and it is absolutely crucial that this pass. Why? Because it is going to build the firewall around Missouri that Restore Missouri has been talking about all along. It is actually a combination of a federal limitation on imposing assault weapons bans and the Firearms Freedom Act. And so I'm not asking you, I'm telling you that we need to support this. Now, the name of that bill, let me just you're going to have to bear with me a minute. I got to switch mice and computers. But the name of that bill is, Steve Cookson has submitted this, and he's from the 153rd District. And this is House Bill 170, introduced by Rep. Guernsey, and also a companion bill is currently filed in the Missouri Senate, sponsored by Senator Munzlinger. House Bill 170 reads as follows. So it's House Bill 170, and let's see, they're amending Chapter 571. Let's see. All right, you essentially want to tell them that you're supporting Bill 170, House Bill 170, and that you are supporting the amendment to Section A, Chapter 571 of the RSMO. What it says is that it'll make it unlawful for any officer or employee of the state or any political subdivision or federal firearms dealer to enforce or attempt to enforce any law, act, statute, rule, or regulation of the federal government relating to personal firearms, etc., etc., etc. Any official or agent or employee of the federal government who enforces or attempts to enforce that act can be held criminally liable. Any person in violation of the federal law relating to the manufacture, sale, transfer, or possession of a firearm or firearm accessory, etc., etc., any federal law, rule, regulation, or order created or effective on or after January 1st, 23 will be unenforceable in the state of Missouri. If the law, rule, regulation, or order attempts to ban or restrict ownership of semi-automatic weapons and magazines and so forth and so on. I'm not going to read you the whole thing. You want to support House Bill 170 and the amendments to Section 571. All right? Your job is to do a little bit of homework and a little bit of due diligence and participate, guys. I can't stress that strongly enough. I can sit up here and talk to you all day long. But if you're not in it and you're not participating in it, then I can't, all of the time and effort and money and energy I put into this is a waste. Because all I can do is educate you and inform you and motivate you and then claim or demand action. But it's up to you to actually take it. Now, if you don't want to follow the leader, that's fine. Then go find some other show to listen to. Go watch Alan Combs or go watch a game show or something. Because the simple truth is that we have allowed our republic to fall. And it's now up to us to stop it and bring it back into play. And so you're either going to participate with us or you're against us. You're either for us or against us. No compromise. Just say no to gun control. That's it. No compromise. Just say no to gun control. All right. I'm going to wrap this show this morning. I want to make sure that you folks support the battery station at 303 Washington Avenue, 257-7799 in West Plains. You can also find them at thebatterystation.com. Make sure that also you visit OzarkMTNSelfreliance.com on the web. You can find them at 870-492-4030. And they are in Mountain Home, 1/2 mile east of Walmart at 3225 Highway 62 in Mountain Home. We are going to be back tomorrow morning, and we will talk further about these actual legislative drives. By the way, for those of you who missed Saturday's show, we're going to be posting that up on the web and on YouTube. That was an interview with Mike Jones and Bob Parker in reference to this Real ID issue going on in Missouri. We're doing a lot of work on that, and we want you involved in it as well. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.
News Talk for Missouri and Arkansas. 107.1 KBMV, Birch Tree, West Plains. The Point.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony.